So today we're driving the newest Corvette. This is the C8 Corvette. This particular vehicle is a 2021. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal vehicle. I'm a big fan of cars that punch above their weight class when you think about price to performance. And when I say performance, I mean doing what it's designed to do very well. So I think of cars like the Bronco, for instance, which you can get for about 40 grand MSRP, that really has a lot of off-road chops. And you know, I think this car is very similar. It's a mid-engine V8 naturally aspirated sports car. It's incredibly quick. It has a really snappy dual clutch transmission. I mean, look at that right there. Beautiful sound. And you can get all of this for in the range of, you know, 70 to 90,000 depending on how you spec it. Personally, I think the car looks stunning. It doesn't look like a Corvette. It doesn't look like a Chevy. If you didn't have a Corvette badge on here, I mean, a lot of people probably wouldn't even know what it is. I've driven this car for a couple of weeks, and I mean, people ask me all the time, what kind of car is it? That's kind of neat. They took the styling in a different direction, and I appreciate you know, what Chevy's done with it. They're definitely put this car into a like a class of its own, in a sense. You know, when I think of cars that compete with this, it's tough. I mean, you've got some Porsches. They're good cars, but I had a 911 earlier this week. It's a 911 Carrera, and it simply didn't compare to this. Sure, the build quality, some aspects of it may have been slightly better, but it's not a C8. And that's really, I find myself using this car as the benchmark for every other sports car that I get in. And I think that it just makes sense. You know, it's just a really good car. It's fucking quick. It's unbelievably fast. I mean, it's the advertised 0 to 60 is something like 2.9 seconds. I haven't timed it myself. I don't know what this car would do. I will say that off the line, it does struggle to get traction. You can definitely, especially if you really really give it a lot of go. I know this particular car just got new tires on it, so the last time I drove it, the tires were original and had maybe 20,000 miles on them. They definitely, that probably was a factor. I have noticed that it does get off the line a little bit better now. It does hook up a bit quicker, doesn't spin as much. So, you know, that's nice. Oh wow, look at that, the 4x4 squared over there. We're here in Newport Beach right now, just cruising down PCH. This is a great road to drive this car around on. Here in Southern California, I would absolutely go with the convertible option if you're going to order one of these. I myself ordered one with a convertible. I think it just makes it's more fun. I will say, with the top up, the cockpit or the cabin or whatever, I call it the cockpit because everything is just angled towards you. It's really cool. It definitely feels like almost like a video game when you drive this thing. But I digress. The cabin with the top up does feel a little bit cramped, and I will say I'm absolutely not a fan of the mirror setup. I don't know if you guys can see that. With the cabin up, it does this like video. I don't know if there's a way to toggle it, but it shows you a video because there's almost no rear visibility. You do have that little window behind you, but it doesn't really, I'll put it up right now, it does help block the wind with the top down, but you actually can't really see behind you. So there's a camera on the back of the car and it projects a video onto the mirror. The issue is, with it being a mirror, you can kind of, it's this weird optical illusion, and it's just a little bit disorienting in my opinion. So that's kind of a drawback. The other thing I'd say is it's very difficult to see behind the vehicle. So if you're making a turn and like you kind of need some rear quarter visibility, it's just not there. I find that I have to almost stand up out of the seat a little bit. You get used to it, and the car does have blind spot monitors, so that'll help with your lane changes and everything, because the mirrors are a little bit small, visibility is not amazing, but it is a mid-engine sports car, so it's not, you know, we're not driving an SUV or a truck here. It kind of makes sense. In terms of interior quality and comfort, hold on, do a little pull. I love the sound of this thing. Absolutely amazing sound comes out of this vehicle. It's a naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8, and I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. Like, for me personally, I feel like it's the perfect amount of noise. It's not obnoxiously loud, it's not gonna hurt your ears, and it's not gonna get you pulled over. It's legal. So I think that it's nice, and it's a well-balanced sound. It's not very, it's not obnoxious, and it's a very smooth, linear noise. You know, it burbles a little bit on deceleration, but it's not like that pop, 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 like that you see in a lot of cars nowadays. That's, you know, fake. It's designed to do that, so it's kind of nice. It's refreshing. The transmission, when you shift at the limiter, it does pop, which is kind of cool. Back to interior quality and comfort. It's actually a very comfortable car. Now, you know, it's not luxury, I will say. It's in the sense of, it's not an S-Class. I was driving the S580 earlier this week, and it's a very different experience than that. But that's okay, you know, they're different cars. I will say it's luxurious in the sense that the interior is, I find, very pretty. It's very driver oriented, so as you can see, all of the controls are angled towards the driver. Even the screen, we have all of our, you know, air conditioning, seat ventilation, heated, cooled seats, and additional controls here, little screens that kind of show you the temperature right now, and our transmission selectors here. This is actually, I like it. It feels a little bit like, it's a little plasticky, I will say, but you have to remember that this is a Chevy. I'm gonna take it out of manual mode and just leave it in auto right now. This is our mode selector here. I actually don't really use this. It will change the display. I find I tend to enjoy Z mode quite a bit. I usually just pop it into Z mode, but you can go over to track, which will totally change the display. It almost looks like a video game, like Forza or something. Kind of neat. Track mode does alter traction control. It will, I'm not sure if it completely turns it off, but it definitely lowers the level of traction control. It significantly tightens up the steering, I will say. It also changes the heads-up display. So you've got that cool, like shift lights that we can see on the heads-up display there. And then if we go the other direction, back down, we've got touring mode, and touring mode is really nice. It's super comfortable, especially with the top up. It's quiet, and in touring mode you can actually take advantage of cylinder deactivation. So right now you can see we're in V8, so we're using all 8 cylinders. If I'm cruising on the highway, and you know, we're not getting on it, it will actually deactivate 4 of those cylinders and run on just 4. That's really nice, because last time I was testing that, we were getting over 30 miles per gallon on the highway. That's brilliant. I mean, we're in a 6.2 liter V8 mid-engine sports car that can jump on the highway, cruise on 4 cylinders, and average 30 miles per gallon. I mean, that's just really cool, in my opinion. You know, I like that. I like that Chevy left that feature on. If we go out of touring mode, there's an individual mode, so you can, you know, adjust if you want to have sport steering and you know, other like touring suspension setup, all of that. I don't really use that. And then there's weather mode, so this is just going to really tone down the vehicle if you're driving in rain or snow for whatever reason. Then yeah, keep it in weather mode, and it's still quick, it just won't be as aggressive. And yeah, so that's pretty much it in terms of the modes. We'll go back into sport mode right now. Both sport mode and Z mode will adjust the exhaust note. So I'm not 100% sure if it's piped in or if there's valves. I want to say there's valves, because outside of the vehicle you can hear a difference in the exhaust note, which is kind of cool. So it definitely, it's like a deeper rumble in a sense. Pull up to this light here, adjust the camera. We do have Apple CarPlay, not wireless, so you do have to plug your phone in. And we also, if we go back over here, somewhere over here is, well, we could probably press the home to get there, yeah. So there is the My Chevy, whatever. I'm not really, I don't care much for in-car infotainment. Personally, I'm not gonna waste too much time talking about it. I think Apple CarPlay, Android Auto really blows these out of the water. But if you do want to use it, you have different apps and stuff here. You can pop up the camera, you can take advantage of the Wi-Fi hotspot, you can use the built-in navigation, audio, whatever. I care more about the vehicle, and for my purposes, CarPlay does everything I need it to, and it does it better than any in-car infotainment, so that's just my personal take. You see another C8 right here, awesome looking car. I like the wheels on that one a lot. I think they're really pretty. In terms of audio, I'm not going to play any music right now because I'll probably get a copyright strike, but this has the upgraded Bose Performance Series. This is a 3LT with the Z package, so it's a pretty optioned out vehicle. And I will say the Bose speakers are amazing. They're great. The audio quality is very good. It's clear, it's crisp. The bass is powerful. It is a very pleasant experience to listen to music in this car. There's a noticeable difference between when you have the top down with listening to music with the windows up as opposed to down. The audio sounds better with the windows up. That just makes sense from an acoustics perspective, so not surprising. When we're looking at the steering wheel, there are a lot of buttons here. I'm really happy that it's not piano black. The S580 that I was in had this funky piano black touch button system that I wasn't a huge fan of. Personally, these buttons are mostly pretty good, I will say. The only two I dislike are the volume controls here and the song controls, the track controls here for your audio. I think you essentially, to operate this, you pull it up. Like you can't push on them, so only from the back you pull. And if you look on the screen, you can see it's kind of annoying. It takes a while, like I'm clicking it and there's a lag sometimes. It's not great. And the dial, I've noticed, is significantly better for controlling audio. It's hard to see probably, but it's more responsive, it's more intuitive. But you have to reach over and you have to fiddle with the dial. So at least they have that, though. I will give them props. They have a physical dial, a physical knob to adjust the audio. That's something that's going away in a lot of cars. I cannot stand touchscreen audio controls. So they have a physical one. That's great. When we're also looking, we have buttons here on the right to control our different menus. We've got a trip computer just showing distance, speed, fuel economy, performance meter. So it has a 0 to 60 timer. It just says accelerate to start. We're not going to be able to hit 60 that fast because there's a bunch of cars in front of us, but if we see what happens, it didn't do anything. So you probably have to floor it from a stop, I would assume, to get that thing to work. It's kind of neat. I don't really see the purpose of it, but I guess it's cool to have. Audio controls, maintenance, tells you your engine oil, transmission fluid, whatever. And then there's options. So you can actually configure the display design to link to the driver mode, or if you prefer a specific display from one of the modes, but you don't want to be in that mode, you can actually essentially lock the display to look however you want. I'm not going to do that right now. And there's just other settings and stuff that you can look through. So pretty neat. You use this wheel here to control up and down, and then the buttons side to side. It's pretty intuitive. The wheel feels nice. It's got a nice, like, sort of tactile click to it. Pretty good. And then we've got a heated steering wheel, voice talk, phone controls, the Z button here, which is almost this, it's plastic, but it is a cool little brushed aluminum design. When you click it, it puts it into Z mode. Pretty neat. And then over on the left-hand side, we have cruise control. This car does not have radar cruise control. That being said, this is a car that you're meant to drive. It is not meant to drive you around, so I don't care that it does not have radar cruise control. It's easy to operate, it's intuitive. One thing I really dislike in a lot of vehicles, especially higher end or fancier vehicles, is some sort of funky cruise control system that is not intuitive and is difficult to figure out. And then, so this one's pretty easy. Now moving on to the shift paddles. Also very foggy day here on PCH. The paddles they're good. They are in a good position. They extend up enough. I like that. You can hit them from the top, the bottom. They work. They're solid. I mean, they are. It feels like they're made out of plastic. It's a sort of a metallic-y. It could be a lightweight metal. It's hard to tell. Start over. So moving on to the paddles. They feel good. I mean, I will say they're not like if we're talking about the way they click, like to get really nitpicky here. the Porsche paddles feel better, but when we're thinking about placement, I like the placement of these a lot more than the 911. They are easy to hit from the top or from the bottom. They're responsive, and really the biggest thing is the position of the paddles relative to the steering wheel is very good. I felt like in the Porsche they were too far in, they were too far behind. You almost had to reach around the steering wheel too much to hit the paddles, but these are very ergonomic. They feel great. I don't have any complaints with the paddles. Moving on to the turn signal and wiper controls. We all know how turn signals and wipers work, so I'm not going to explain them or go into too much detail, but I will say it's a very satisfying feeling. This is the one thing that automakers can really screw up when, you know, building a car. If you can have the nicest interior, but if you go to hit the turn signal and it feels like shit, that's a big problem. It takes away, it detracts from the experience significantly. So I'm very satisfied with the turn signal controls on this. They're sturdy. It's like a very satisfying feeling. The Porsche, and I feel like I'm ragging on the Porsche here, but I did drive these in the same week, and they're somewhat similar, sporty coupes, so I'm gonna compare the two a little bit. The Porsche didn't feel good. It reminded me, actually it probably was almost the same system that was in my first car, a 2008 Volkswagen Jetta. It just felt plasticky and cheap, so I wasn't a fan. But anyways, moving on. The heads-up display, I'm not sure how visible it is on the camera, but it is brilliant. It's great. It's bright. I often wear polarized sunglasses, and when you're wearing polarized sunglasses, it can be very difficult to see the display. Well, with this vehicle, as we cruise through Laguna Beach here, you can turn the brightness all the way up as it is now, and sure, the display will be a little bit more dim, but it is visible with polarized glasses, which is really nice. So you don't have to worry about not being able to use that and wear sunglasses at the same time. It tells us a lot of information here. We're in Z mode, and I see our tachometer, the drive mode we're in, the gear. So, you know, if we put it in manual mode, it will sort of display the gear that we're in a more prominent fashion, which is kind of neat. And we also have G-force indicators as well, so that's pretty cool. Now, a couple other features that I want to talk about on this vehicle. One that's really neat is the front lift. So if we click this little lift button here, it's actually going to raise the front of the vehicle. And then as we start to accelerate, it's going to automatically lower the vehicle. So pretty cool. But you know, you might have to, you think, well, I have to remember to click this every time I'm gonna, you know, turn into a parking lot or go over something where I could potentially scrape the front of the vehicle. Well, that's where a really neat feature is. So if you click this raise button, and then if we were to click the left arrow here, it'll actually remember this location. And if we're driving back in the same place, it will automatically raise the vehicle for us as we come up on that location. This is really nice if you have, say, a steep driveway at your house and you want to, you know, have the vehicle lift up every single time that you get home. That's exactly what I did, what I set up, and it's pretty cool. We have our traction control off, and then we have our front cameras. So I will say the cameras are not very intuitive. This I understand up top, you know, that's our front splitter there. It'll show you how far you are to how close you are to a parking block or a curb or something. The other two, they almost take this like quarter angle view in a sense of the front of the vehicle, and it's simply a little bit confusing. It's kind of hard to tell you know, what you're looking at, so I just don't use those, and it's been fine. This vehicle is pretty easy to understand from like a spatial awareness sense. It's not super hefty. It's not like an abnormally large or odd shaped vehicle. I have not had any issues parking this vehicle, taking it through drive-thrus without, you know, curbing the wheels. Just be careful, pay attention. Keep in mind it is a very low vehicle, so easy to live with. This would make a great daily driver. I could absolutely see myself dailying this car. However, that being said, if you are going to daily this, I would say you do need to have access to a larger vehicle if you intend on ever buying anything at a store. And the reason I say that is because other than groceries, it's very difficult to fit anything in this car. I purchased a piano keyboard the other day, and I had to have it, you know, stick through the seat and up out the top. Good thing this is a convertible. If it was not, that would not have been possible. I purchased a monitor from Costco, and I had to wedge it in between in the seat here. Computer monitor, also somewhat ridiculous. So it's a little bit, I would say, inconvenient, to say the least, when you're driving this vehicle around and trying to use it for stuff. Now, there is a frunk and a rear trunk as well. They are very small. I don't think you would be able to fit a bag of golf clubs in this vehicle unless you wedge it in the passenger seat. I haven't tested it. That's just my, you know, initial thoughts. But if you're getting groceries, anything like that, you're totally fine. Plenty of space for stuff like that. But you know, that's not what this car is designed to do. It's not a car that's designed to fit a bunch of stuff. It's a sports car, and it does a really bang up job of that. So I like it a lot. Moving on, our controls on the left here, we have our mirror controls, pretty standard, easy to use. We also have, you can, you know, fold in the mirrors for parking, both automatic windows, pretty simple. And then these two buttons here at the bottom, they essentially, one puts the top down, so you can push it down or pull it up, puts the top up, puts the top down. And then this button controls our rear window as well. So you can raise and lower, as we can demonstrate, that rear window a little bit. It helps with some wind when you are driving with the top down. So overall, I will say in the convertible form, this car with the windows up forms a really nice little bubble around you. It's comfortable, it's not overly loud or windy to drive around in, and you still get that open air experience that is just so much fun here in Southern California, especially on a road like this where it's just beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful day. So overall, I really enjoy this vehicle. I'm gonna stop talking now and let you guys just enjoy some of the footage of me driving this around on PCH. And with that, I appreciate you guys watching this video. Would love if you could like, comment, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Really helps me out. It helps me get access to more vehicles like this that I can talk about and review. Thank you.